Probably go through the whole thing in sequence. It's going to start off in Fort Worth, small suburban town. I'm not going to say the name of it yet, but I know the town. Knock on the door. It's a well. It's answering the door. Keep Brandon Fraser out of it. It's not that kind of well. It's a real well. It's like a well, like a real well with flippers and everything. And it's talking to him. And he's calling him Jonah. And he's just like looking at the well going, what in the world? Well grabs him. They go to a street gutter, like in the street, like that would be right here. The well throws him in the street gutter, and then he crawls out of the street gutter in Dexter, like, you know, homage to it. Obviously, it starts with a dream sequence. Wakes up. He realizes he's going to Maine, so he's in the middle of writing a story while he's at this small little townhome in suburbs of Fort Worth, by an I think it was an Air Force base at the time. I think it's a Navy base now. So it could have been a Navy base then. I'm so out of it from writing. But anyway, finds out mom's coming. Mom comes down from Maine. Come get him. You're going to Maine. Okay. They're packing up the car. That's when they have the argument about the lamp, about taking the lamp, because the car is full of all this crap, like not furniture, but it's a little Kia Rio, little small Kia Rio. The lamp is an argument. That goes on. Then boom, all of a sudden they're in like Jackson, Tennessee or Mississippi. It doesn't really matter either way. And they're listening to Johnny Cash song Jackson. I'm going to Jackson. Mom's there. He's still smoking cigarettes. And mom like does not want to smell the cigarettes at all. He's smoking the cigarettes. Maybe a little sequence in a motel of him kind of falling asleep. Then next thing you know, he's in Buffalo, New York, walking around. Then eventually drops off mom in Abbott. Oh, actually, you know what? No. They're headed towards Abbott going through Dexter. So the next sequence, it pulls up in Dexter. And I guess at this point, he's dropped off mom. Don't know if I'm really going to show that. I think I'm just going to show all of a sudden, you know, him and Dexter by himself dealing with Dexter the next day or something. So we get the idea mom's in Abbott or whatever. So he goes to Dexter, and that's when he gets out and sees the Wayside Theater, and then we get the idea that he's going to start writing a book. Changes the Lakeside Theater, and we see him in the typewriter in the cabin in Parkman, which is next to Bert Shavitz's old place. He gets in there. Eventually, he gets the job at the factory, so he's still in shape, so he like jogs around and stuff so he can get factory work. He's jogging in the snow. There's a scene where a big lumber truck drives by, almost hits him. There's another scene, middle of the night, where he's watching The Shining, and it's like right before December 2012, when the Mayan year is about to announce. Maybe here's something on the radio or something on the television about the Mayan year, you know, 2012 being the end of the world, whatever. It doesn't really happen, but he's watching The Shining, and, you know, shows a segment of that. Then there's a segment where he wakes up and there's no electricity, and it gets very cold. He notices that the glass next to him, which is a glass of water that you drink, is frozen. And he covers up this blanket, and he gets under this thing with a space heater to stay warm. The oven isn't working. It's really that the electric's still on. He just thought it was off. And he realizes that the oil is out. So he has no oil, because the place runs on oil, if you can believe that. It's like a $900 oil bill a month, but the state of Maine would actually pay for that if you request assistance, because they want you to live through the winter. He has to leave there to go to Guilford to get a more affordable place because of the oil bill, because there's a problem with the wood thing, the wood heater that's at the Guilford place. I'm sorry, at the apartment place. So he goes to the Guilford place. He lives over a place called Aunt Dee Dee's. In the book, it's Aunt Cece's. Lives over it. And that's where he meets Steven. The guy makes comments about his cats. Remember, when he travels there with his cats. I forgot to mention that. And from there, he eventually, Steven tells him it's going to be too cold for the, for the winter. There's a segment where he is watching Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. This is about an actor too. It's not just a writer. He's an actor, and he's watching Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy at the middle of the night in one sequence. It's very, very cold in this one place, but it's warm in this one room that he stays in Guilford. So there's sequences in the we'll have to work those out. There's sequences in the factory, which is at Hardwood. I changed it to Havenwood in the story. Then he meets Joni, which I think I even kept her name in the book. She's the spiritual minister that she has her ministry things, and they all know that he's searching for the Lord, at this point. And he goes back and I'm writing a book, and there can be narration of the book. And then he goes to play rehearsals, and that's when June's there. I think in the book she's July, so she goes by July in the book. She's the director. They do this funny rehearsal. There's like these funny interlaughing kind of rehearsals. If you ever seen interlaughing, the Carl Reiner thing, where they're trying to do this play that she had written about, that Julie had written about this butler's god-awful play. And my mom's in it, so my mom's like there trying to do this kind of thing. Or my mom took it really serious, but she did this like affected voice, right? She talked like this, and it was like real annoying. I was like, come on, Mom. I went to the actor studio. And so there's that sequence. And then eventually gets moved into Dover, and he auditions for Miracle on 34th Street, so he's doing that, and then going back and forth to the mill, picking up the Bible, reading the Bible at night. Finally, he starts getting on Plenty of Fish, and getting these dates all lined up. He goes out to Bangor for these dates, and all these farmer women. He meets this one farmer woman. They meet at a bookstore. It's like $1 million or something like that. The bookstore, Millions or something like that. Some weird name. It's like an offshoot bookstore. It's not around anymore, but they go to the bookstore and they walk around, look at all these books. He tells them, I'm writing a story about Maine. It's called Escape from Me or Escape from Maine. Blah, blah, blah. And then one night he goes to bed and he has a dream sequence that he starts digging in this backyard. And we're like, what is he digging in the backyard for? We don't really know it's a dream sequence. And the next scene, he's digging even deeper. He's digging, keeps digging in the ground and digging. He's writing. I think, why is he digging? And it goes on throughout the story. He's got like these lamps that are underground. He's following through these lamps. He's been digging for a long time. Remember the neighbor also that he meets, Chris, that helps him quit smoking cigarettes, was Vietnam. He's a Vietnam vet. Talks to him. This monologue about how he found Jesus Christ in the trenches of Vietnam and prays with him, helps him expel cigarettes from him so he no longer craves cigarettes. It could be kind of an homage to that. So he's digging underground. We hear the war of Vietnam above him, but he's under the ground and there's these lanterns and he's going through. Eventually where that tunnel leads to is Stephen King's house underneath it. Gets out of that. Goes into Stephen King's house. He's sneaking around. Goes to Stephen King's writing room and removes this wood panel underneath the writing desk. There it is, the original copy manuscript of Glass Floor. It's like, wow, this is gonna be worth a lot. He gets back into the tunnel. Big news broadcast that someone had dug in the ground into Stephen King's house. Don't really need that. Don't need the news broadcast, but we could maybe add that in there. Note, screenplay. That's gonna be exciting. Then there's also another dream sequence too later on. He meets this chick, this Presbyterian chick. They go and see Silver Linings Playbook. I want to put that in there. And he hints that he had gone to school with Bradley Cooper. He was one of his peers. And they're at like a Mexican restaurant and they're talking about, this looks like a pretty good movie, blah, blah. Yeah, I went to school with them and everything. I'm an actor studio. She said, oh, really? She's this writer. She was really good. She was a really good writer. All her stuff sounded very real. She'd send me stuff through email. I'd tell her there, I think you're a really good writer. I think you should go off and pursue this thing, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they go see Silver Linings, a romantic scene. Beautiful sequence. This is what we're gonna have to get all filmmaker. Note to people that can produce fake snow. This beautiful snow falls down after we're leaving Silver Lining Playbook at this small little 2-house theater, the Mexican restaurant right across, in Waterville. Y'all know which one it is. And the snow is coming down, kind of hitting me, blah, blah. And I've got this like umbrella, or actually it's a snow brush. Snow brush. I don't have an umbrella, cut the B in there thing. But I got a snow brush. And I'm brushing the snow off the car, and I'm talking to her. I think it's the last time I saw her. I was like, you have a good night. You know, you can see the love in my eyes. Really, I'm just a divorcee trying to survive. Get in the car. And 10 minutes. Drive home that night, and the ice is hitting the thing. You can see the other cars behind me with the ice on the back of the car. Very spy-like kind of thing, you know. Writing this important book that's going to change the world, kind of like, most of us, I'm rewriting kind of like the Bible or something, you know, that kind of feeling. That goes on. There's that sequence will be there. I'm basically telling you the whole movie in a way. Then there's a sequence where I go on another date with this redheaded chick, and we're walking this snow, you know, like snow, what's it called? The snow boots? Snowshoeing. Yeah, we're snowshoeing in the snow. She gets a call that her place is flooded, so she has to break the date. I'm like, oh, nice, it's nice to meet you. Blah, 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 blah. Some chick can play that part. Anyway, I go back, and that happens. Eventually, there's a relationship I form with a single mom. She has 2 kids. I meet her like in a bar. There's a guy that looks like the lead singer of Joey Ramone, kind of, or at least he wants to. He's wearing a Ramone shirt, passed around a marijuana cigarette. We smoke a little marijuana, and I kiss her and suck on her boob for a minute. It doesn't go any farther than that. Then the next day I meet her and I tell her I'm writing a book and about me escaping Maine because I want to leave, but I don't have enough money yet. I'm trying to, that kind of thing. That dialogue happens along a place called the Riverwalk, which is along the Piscataquis River. Eventually that happens. And then there's another dream sequence where Stephen King is in the road, naked. I stop. What are you doing? And he doesn't say he's Stephen King or anything. We'd play someone that kind of looks like him, maybe Bill Hader. Gray Bill Hader's head. Bill Hader would be perfect. There's another one I mentioned. He's gutting a moose. He's naked. Jumps in the car. Gets in the back. I see him in the rearview mirror. And he says simply, we're only trying to survive. And then it cuts the dream sequence. The reason why I have that dream sequence in there is because I heard Stephen King's voice on the radio when I was driving through Dover Foxtrot, and it was snowing outside. Stephen King's like, I hope everyone's okay with you, Mainers. And with Stephen King saying that. From there, I went into a dream sequence. Literally. There's a lot of stuff. Anyway, regardless, I'm just telling you the meat of the story. There's times where there's water, my eyes get watery, and I want to cry when there's snow coming down. I'm working and doing the sorting and picking off the belt line. There's a belt that runs, because he works in a factory, he does picking and sorting, and he's picking for rotted wood on tongue depressors, or furniture pieces, or what's known as medical supplies, like the ear cubicles, and things for DNA and stuff like that they did medical supplies for Puritan products, I believe, and other products. So there's that. There's also a jogging sequence where he goes jogging with the owners of the place. They go jogging one night, and they're like a jogging club in the middle of the night when it's freezing cold. It's like they're all like ice joggers. You know, they jog and they have flashlights on their head. That sequence does happen as well too. Then eventually it goes on and on. There's a conversation between him and his mom about how he wants to be a father. He wants to go back to Texas. He always mentions that he's wanting to go back to Texas. He's saving up to go back to Texas. Then there's the Miracle on 34th Street, which that happens. He meets a bunch of other actors backstage. I can figure out some stuff there. Maybe get Steve Carell in there, where they're playing all these really dorky roles for a full house. Like every night it was sold out for Miracle on 34th Street. It's like this huge theater, Central Theater. There's also a sequence where he goes and he learns mime from a guy named Ocho, which is very funny. He was a very funny mime. And he talks about, they all talk kind of about Obama. Not in Ocho, but afterwards they do this mime thing, and they're talking about Obama and who they're going to vote for. I voted for Obama. Okay, he talks about that. I lost some of the funding right there, but he goes and he votes for Obama. You can see the little thing, the check mark for Obama, where he goes and votes in town. It goes on and on and on. Eventually, I'm trying to think. There's the argument between him and mom. He wants to go back. Stepdad, oh yeah, the stepdad is kind of a distant character. Doesn't say a whole bunch. He just walks 6 miles a day. So he walks like a whole lot. He goes walking with the stepdad in one sequence, where he's walking on this long road of, it's like Maine. He goes walking behind him in Abbott, and they're walking around and stuff like that. And there's also sequences where he comes back, and it's a really good book. He comes back, and the dogs start smelling. They had like 6 dogs. They're always barking at him and stuff like that. I gotta get back. It's about 15 minutes. Anyway, finally he decides to leave. And there's a sequence where he's leaving Maine. There's a more relationship sequences between him and mom. Thinking Ellen Burstyn. But Ellen Burstyn's maybe a little too old to play the mom character. Maybe Meryl Streep. If I can talk her into it, I have to get the script to her. Meryl Streep for the mom would be perfect for my mother. Meryl Streep would be perfect. But she may be older too. We'd have to see. Maybe. Anyway. Mom finally calls him while he's leaving. He's already decided to leave. Headed back to Texas. And there's this whole kind of breakdown scene over the phone. Not with me. My mom crying because she didn't want him to go back. After he finally arrives back in Texas, he gets another phone call, and that'd be from Angel. And from there, he gets sucked into the whole family thing. That's very, very short, very, very quick, and it probably ends in a chess game between him and Angel, which should be Angelica in the screenplay. And then from there, you see like photos of the baby. Saw him, and then the baby being born, and photos, and then something about that. The book's like 900 and something, maybe 1,000 pages. I suggest anyone that I've mentioned or anybody that knows about me read the book. It's on Fiction Press. It's in segments. It's a very, very good book. Please, publishers, feel free. So I'll be crafting that through this medium.